Yeah, we are living under tyranny. We're living under the tyranny of activist judges.
Most of Trump's tariffs got shut down this morning because the courts ruled that they were illegal. Now, many people are getting online, those that are fans of President Trump, and they're saying that these judges are activists. This includes Charlie Kirk and even Stephen Miller, calling it a judicial coup. But the truth is, this is not tyranny. This is the judicial branch doing what it's supposed to do. You see, the president doesn't normally have the power to institute tariffs. That power originally belonged to Congress.
So we can wave goodbye to Trump's tariffs. I don't know if you saw the news, but they just got struck down. They're illegal. Now, they rule that he's got to go through Congress. But my guess is that there's probably going to be a vote soon in which Trump tries to put these tariffs on the floor to see if Republicans will vote for them. It will be a vote to decide whether or not Congress will raise your prices. And I say give them hell every single day. Let them know. They've got to fear losing their seat more than they fear Donald Trump. So call your congressman, let them know to say no to Trump's tariffs.
Hey my people, it's Gracie here once again, welcoming you back to the channel. I am hoping that from wherever you my lovelies are watching this from, you're doing alright and God has protected you and preserved you very well. I do appreciate all of you that keep supporting me on here, and of course to the generous souls on here that give me super thanks and super chats for what I do. I do appreciate you so very much, and I want to give a big special shout out to my members. You guys do me great. You constantly support me through membership. Thank you so very much. And again, as always, we have another good, juicy, interesting episode to dive ourselves into. Guys, I am super excited to see some level of madness stop in America and being stopped by the legal brains of the country. Yes, as we are talking, the legal brains of America decided to block Trump's tariffs, and they are calling it unconstitutional and illegal, which means whatever he said, whatever country he put these tariffs on, guys, it has to be scrapped because it was illegal. He doesn't have the authority, like he can't, right? And guys, the MAGA nuts are super upset about this because they're like, oh no, how comes, these people are activists, they are the ones that are stopping this and all of that, they are taking our country back and all of that. Guys, we are going to have to look at the court's decisions and the reactions of people in here. We'll come back and talk about it. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, and let me know what you think in the comment section about this very episode.
Overnight, a staggering setback for President Trump's aggressive trade agenda. A panel of judges on the U.S. Court of International Trade blocking most of Trump's sweeping tariffs on China and other trading partners, determining that they are contrary to law. The move effectively bringing Trump's trade war to a screeching halt. In April, the president declared a national emergency to impose his so-called reciprocal tariffs on goods from every country that trades with the U.S. without seeking approval from Congress.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
As markets roiled, Trump defiant.
I know what the hell I'm doing.
But overnight, the federal panel ruling that the law does not authorize the president to use emergency powers to issue tariffs, and that his executive orders exceed any authority granted to the president. The judges appointed by Presidents Reagan, Obama, and Trump also blocking tariffs Trump imposed on China, Mexico, and Canada to combat fentanyl trafficking because they do not deal with the threats described in the president's order. The Trump administration overnight quick to appeal, the White House rebuking the court, saying it is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency, adding the administration is committed to using every lever of executive power to address this crisis and restore American greatness. For weeks, the president's on-again, off-again tariffs have caused whiplash on Wall Street, sparking major sell-offs when he issues new threats and rallies when he pulls them back. In the Oval Office yesterday, Trump lashing out when a reporter asked about a new term for his turnarounds.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation.
We have huge breaking news right now. A federal judge has just invalidated most of Donald Trump's tariffs, saying that Donald Trump's tariffs exceeded his authority under the IEEPA. Minutes ago, the Court of International Trade struck down Donald Trump's tariffs imposed under his executive authority. And these tariffs that were just struck down include the reciprocal tariffs that were applied to all countries across the globe. Now, significantly, that means Donald Trump now has to lift tariffs on everyone, including China and all these other countries. And the 90-day stay of the tariffs is coming up. Well, if these tariffs were invalid, then there's no more 90-day stay because the tariffs can't be imposed by Donald Trump under his authority on the IEEPA, which is a law that the president can use to kind of enforce tariffs or introduce tariffs during national emergencies. This is a major loss for the Trump administration. We'll see what happens next. Spread the word and follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. There'll be much more to come very soon.
Well, as I say, the breaking news of the night is that Donald Trump's illegal tariffs are gone, thanks to a ruling of the United States Court of International Trade. Futures trading is now soaring tonight in the expectation of an explosively positive reaction by the stock market tomorrow when the world will reset itself around the restoration of law and order in international trade and the crushing of the Trump tariffs and resultant personal worldwide humiliation of Donald Trump. The Trump tariffs were always illegal and unconstitutional, and you heard that on this program every time we covered Donald Trump's comments about tariffs, including very much during the presidential campaign when the campaign press corps never, ever reported to voters that the Trump proposed tariffs during the campaign were completely illegal and unconstitutional. The campaign press corps never reported to voters that those proposals were constitutionally insane, and the person pronouncing those proposals at those Trump rallies was constitutionally out of his mind just based on what he was saying about tariffs alone. The campaign press corps completely failed the American voter on this issue, with American voters just discovering tonight from the International Court of Trade just how illegal and unconstitutional the Trump tariffs always have been. The United States Court of International Trade, which has exclusive jurisdiction over cases involving tariff disputes, has ruled unanimously that when it comes to tariffs, Donald Trump does not have, quote, unbounded authority, and the court sets aside the challenged tariffs. The court gave the plaintiffs suing the Trump administration even more than they expected. The plaintiffs include 12 states with Democratic governors who sued, arguing that the Trump tariffs are unconstitutional and illegal, and asked the court for at least a temporary injunction, temporarily blocking the tariffs. But the court went all the way and delivered a full and final ruling in the case, granting what the court calls a summary judgment against Donald Trump and all of his tariffs. So as of this hour tonight, it is no longer legal at any port of entry in the United States for a United States Customs Service to collect a single dollar of Trump tariffs. Civil lawsuits like this seldom have such total and complete and final victories just 2 weeks after the court heard arguments in the case. Victories in this case for plaintiffs at this stage of this kind of litigation are very unusual, but here we are. And as I've been reporting to you literally for years now, there are few things more clear in law than Congress's complete authority over tariffs. The Court of International Trade said in its opinion that even if Congress wanted to give Donald Trump power over tariffs, it would be unconstitutional to do so. Quote, an unlimited delegation of tariff authority would constitute an improper abdication of legislative power to another branch of government. Donald Trump's illegal tariffs were based on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. And today, finally, the Court of International Trade said what I've been saying since the day Donald Trump invoked that law to support his tariffs. Quote, any interpretation of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act that delegates unlimited tariff authority is unconstitutional. The court rejected Donald Trump's claim of a national emergency to justify his tariffs, saying the mere incantation of national emergency cannot, of course, sound the death knell of the Constitution. And that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to kill the Constitution of the United States in a different way every day. He tried and failed, thanks to the Court of International Trade, to sound the death knell of the Constitution by stealing Congress's exclusive power over tariffs. And in a 49-page ruling co-authored by 3 judges of the Court of International Trade in New York City, Donald Trump's attempts to kill the Constitution this time have failed. Judge Gary Katzmann was appointed by President Obama. Judge Jane Rustani was appointed by Republican President Ronald Reagan. Judge Timothy Reif was appointed by Republican President Donald Trump. And those 3 judges unanimously agreed to every word in tonight's breaking news opinion that there is nothing in American law that can make Donald Trump's tariffs legal. 2 sets of plaintiffs brought cases to the Court of International Trade, and in their unanimous opinion tonight, the court said the question in the 2 cases before the court is whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 delegates these powers to the president in the form of authority to impose unlimited tariffs on goods from nearly every country in the world. The court does not read the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to confer such unbounded authority and sets aside the challenged tariffs imposed thereunder. For Donald Trump's benefit, though he, of course, could never actually read a single page of a court opinion, but mostly for the benefit of the United States Supreme Court, the trade experts on the Court of International Trade wrote a brief history of international trade right in their opinion, and a brief history of international trade law for Donald Trump's Supreme Court justices to study, because they know very little about international trade law. When Donald Trump, no doubt, appeals this case all the way up to the judges on the Supreme Court who he believes owe him their permanent loyalty. The trade court identified 3 different kinds of tariffs Donald Trump was illegally imposing and ruled against each of them, calling each of them illegal and unconstitutional. The court referred to tariffs imposed on countries to indirectly force them to somehow stop the flow of fentanyl around the world and other illicit drugs that are illegal, because tariffs cannot legally be used to leverage the behavior of other governments on issues other than regulated international trade. The court wrote, a tax deals with a budget deficit by raising revenue. A dam deals with flooding by holding back a river. But there is no such association between the act of imposing a tariff and the unusual and extraordinary threats that the trafficking orders purport to combat. The trafficking orders do not deal with their stated objectives. Rather, as the government acknowledges, the orders aim to create leverage to deal with those objectives. That use is impermissible, not because it is unwise or ineffective, but because Section 1701 does not allow it. The court laid out the legal specifics, striking down all of what Donald Trump calls his reciprocal tariffs. And throughout the opinion, the court was very clear that Congress would have the authority to impose any of these tariffs, but the president simply does not have that legal authority. In the same sense that the president does have the power to pardon people convicted of federal crimes, which Donald Trump is doing in the most corrupt manner in history, but Congress does not have the power to pardon people convicted of federal crimes. These distinctions in presidential and congressional power have always been easy and simple for people to understand, and no one has ever disputed them, just as no one has ever imagined prior to Donald Trump that a president has the authority to raise or lower tariffs. The court went through a painful recitation of all the tariffs Donald Trump has threatened to impose and then reduced and then postponed, saying every one of those decisions was made illegally. The court explained that a summary judgment is the only possible way in this case that this case can be resolved and needs to be resolved now. And this court explained the standards for a summary judgment saying the court shall grant summary judgment if the movement shows that there is no genuine dispute as to any material fact and the movement is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. That is a very high bar, but Donald Trump's constitutional illiteracy easily delivered a summary judgment to the states and other plaintiffs to end all of the Trump tariffs and not allow them to be collected at any port of entry anywhere in the United States. The court, of course, cited James Madison, writing in the Federalist Papers, on the importance of separation of powers and said an unlimited delegation of tariff authority would be unconstitutional. The court said, quote, the president's assertion of authority here has no meaningful limiting standards, essentially enabling him to impose any tariff rate he wants on any country at any time for virtually any reason. The court stopped that madness tonight. It's over. The Trump tariff madness ends now. The court said Donald Trump's attempt to use our international trade balance of payments with countries around the world as a reason for a president to impose tariffs was illegal and unconstitutional. Donald Trump has lost in court many times before, most notably in the 34 guilty verdicts returned against him by a jury of his peers in a criminal case in Manhattan last year. And the judgment against Donald Trump by the Court of International Trade will now take its place among those legal cases in which Donald Trump has lost, and lost decisively on every single point that Donald Trump raised in the court. There is not a single word that was said by Donald Trump's lawyers justifying his tariffs that was accepted by a single judge on the Court of International Trade, including the Trump-appointed judge who joined this unanimous opinion. And so tomorrow, when Donald Trump stands before a microphone and lies to the American people about his tariffs, it will be another worldwide humiliation day for Donald Trump.
Yeah, we are living under tyranny. We're living under the tyranny of activist judges.
Most of Trump's tariffs got shut down this morning because the courts ruled that they were illegal. Now, many people are getting online, those that are fans of President Trump, and they're saying that these judges are activists. This includes Charlie Kirk and even Stephen Miller, calling it a judicial coup. But the truth is, this is not tyranny. This is the judicial branch doing what it's supposed to do. You see, the president doesn't normally have the power to institute tariffs. That power originally belonged to Congress. But what Congress did is delegate some of that power to the president in some instances, with laws like the Trade Act of 1974. So that's why you see Charlie Kirk saying that these judges are going against the law because the president has the power to institute tariffs. But this is not true. While Congress did give the president the power to impose some tariffs, there are restrictions on how he uses that power. Trump has put tariffs on places like Australia who didn't have any tariffs on us at all. The president was only given the power by Congress to institute tariffs under two circumstances: a national emergency and when there's unfair trading practices going on. Now, what Trump tried to do to institute these tariffs, since we are not in a national emergency, is claim that a trade deficit is somehow indicative of unfair trading practices. Now, if you don't know what a trade deficit is, that's okay. I explain it in this video on my profile. Feel free to go back and watch that. So let's critically think here. Given that we are not in a national emergency, and that we are going to be in a trade deficit with almost every country because we purchase the most out of any country, does Trump have the power to impose these tariffs? The answer simply is no, and the courts recognize that. One of the main functions of our judicial branch is to make sure that power doesn't get abused, whether that's by the president or by Congress. Do we all remember when Biden attempted to abuse his power by instituting a jab mandate? Yeah, that was the judicial branch doing what it was supposed to do. So no, while I appreciate the theatrics of calling this tyranny, it is in fact the opposite of that. It's because we escaped tyranny that we established these checks and balances in our system of government. So if y'all want a king, just fucking say so.
I'm tired of your party. Your party has gone to hell. All you do is stop Trump. All you do is do this, and I'm sick of your party.
Question for you.
What?
Have you tried crying about it?
No! You will never win another election again, mark my words.
So Trump's tariff plan just got blocked today by a panel of judges. Let me break it down really quick. So back on 22nd, Trump rolled out a sweeping new tariff policies, basically taxing imports without asking Congress. The problem is, in US, only Congress has the power to do that. Trump tried to justify using a law meant for actual emergency.
like war or terrorism. But trade deficit is not exactly a national crisis. So a bunch of companies and even some Republican lawmakers pushed back. Fast forward to today, 3 federal judges just ruled Trump overstepped big time. The law being shut down, unless the Supreme Court decision otherwise. So with all this, it just only caused more supply chain disruption and pushed inflation even to another level. No real result, just pains for consumers and business. Trump might still try smaller target tariffs, but this one's down for now. If you want more no bullshit breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, follow, and share. Thank you.
So, it looks like the U.S. courts usurped Trump's tariff plan. They pulled the rug from under his feet in the midst of negotiations. If I'm China, what is the sense of urgency to negotiate if I know that your own government doesn't stand by what you're doing? That's an issue. The markets are responding, obviously, because the markets are up. So they're happy for the reprieve. What do you think?
I know quite a lot of magnates are upset, and especially billionaires, because when tariffs are brought up and all these policies, none of it benefits a common American, a person that hustles and struggles like me to feed their families and take care of themselves, right? Yes, all of these things are benefiting or beneficial to the huge corporations. They have been in business for forever, right? So they can sustain themselves for like a long time, even when crisis like this arises. And what they've been targeting is to make sure that small businesses don't thrive, right? Because how are you going to tell me a small business is going to be able to bring things that are super expensive? People are not going to be able to buy them because they're not affordable. People will be struggling just to feed themselves. They will leave all these other utilities and every other small little thing, every simple little thing. I understand that consumerism itself is a problem, right? But I mean, can't you at least allow people have a bit of convenience? They work so hard, right? I feel like if people work so hard, why don't you let them be able to enjoy the simple little things of life and make sure at least their families are taken care of, right? So all these billionaires have been trying to do is to make sure that they make it so hard for small businesses to thrive. And you realize that now America has been becoming a country like literally everyone has been able to start a small business, and people have been starting to take care of their families. People have been getting out of the mentality of being employed by someone because they understand how the employment sector works and how it takes advantage, and it sucks every bit of juice out of people that hustle so bad. And unfortunately, it's like they milk the cow without feeding it. This same administration and all the benefits they've been taking away from the people, right? So people have been devising means, how do I escape this system of capitalism and corporations and you know, that want to just exploit me until when I pass? Because people have been working till 80 and they're still working, right? Like, that's how it has been like. So people have been devising means on how to start something for themselves. And corporations are like, you know what? Billionaires are like, let's bring Trump. Let him introduce tariffs so that things become so expensive that these people can't afford to buy from small businesses. So they will abandon small businesses and come back to us. You think they have not been seeing the trends? That the consumption and the money that used to go into their pockets, because, you know, for example, the luxury brands, everyone spends like thousands of dollars on things that is produced by China for $20, right? And these people have been making millions of it. Now a normal American can afford to wear a very nice, you know, Adidas shoe, a Nike shoe or something like that, right? Because small businesses have started booming. So they're like, let's bring tariffs. That's why quite a lot of them are upset. They're like, you know what? You know, these are activist judges. And you guys don't get satisfied, right? And I know quite a number of people that are watching this are excited. They're like, thank God, right? Because I know a lot of people have been like, who is going to stop this madness? Who is going to halt this man? Who is going to stop this? Because it is affecting and cutting us, right? And it is so good. The legal brains are now starting to wake up. I think now you see why this man does not want law. Like, he doesn't want the judges, and he wants to deal away with anything that has to do with the law. Everything has to be unconstitutional. He wants to be the Constitution. That's what he wants, because by so doing, nobody is going to stop him from doing whatever he is doing. Let's not forget, when they say they are putting America first, the decisions that he is taking without consulting anybody, right? And without even pre-negotiating and consulting with the people he's putting tariffs on, right? Yes, none of this is affecting him or his family. All of it is affecting the Americans. So it is a good time for all the Americans that have been struggling, and they're like, you know what, how are we going to be affording things? Yes, all of it is blocked. And it is another win for China and all the other countries and Americans. Said he's giving them 3 months, is it 90 days or something like that, right? Well, no more 90 days, no more tariffs. So the small business owners that were worrying and crying and all of that, get your stock back and start doing your business. Trump has nothing on you. I love this for him and for the people that support him and for the billionaires. It is time. These people know that they have taken advantage of people for an amazing time, and enough is enough. You've eaten what you've been able to eat. We have a saying over here right now, you know, that describes the situation Trump is going through, that whatever he's trying to bind, it's just breaking. And whatever thing he's using, the binders he's using, they are all weak. He's been surrounded. And men, oh men, what a time to be alive. Congratulations to you, my people. Let's keep watching, and we'll see the stories unfolding. Hopefully, he doesn't harden his head, because you know who he is, the type of person that he is. But for me, I'm excited for you because I'm a hustler. I'm a hustler. I know what it means when you make your money and you have to spend a fortune to just have something. You struggle so hard to get it. People need a break. But anywho, let me know what you think in the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not. Shared the video, like it, and let us spread awareness. I think from me for today, that's it. Your opinions matter. I will see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is BeingW0ke. Bye.